Hi, this is James Gordon Torley here with the 13th book in the James Bond series. The book I'll be talking about today, The Man with the Golden Gun. This edition is from Triad Panther, and this was published in 1978. It was originally published by Jonathan Cape on April 1st, 1965. This novel I did not enjoy at all. I was really kind of let down with this one. I was really hoping this would be a really good one because I really like the movie of the same name. But this book I did not like at all. A little backstory on this before I begin with my review and stuff. The Man of the Golden Gun was published several months after the death of Ian Fleming, who died at the age of like, what was it? He was in his 50s when he passed away from years of like heavy drinking and smoking, which really took a toll on him. And from what I read, he was not actually satisfied with this first draft of The Man with the Golden Gun, and he actually submitted a second draft to his publisher, telling them to use that instead. But the publisher did not use the second draft. They kind of threw it out and just basically just published what he wrote with his first draft. And unlike the other books, this one is not well polished. There are some scenes where I'm reading and I noticed like some really strange dialogue and some scenes that don't feel right as I'm reading them. Like it's not polished. Like the publisher didn't even take the time to like go over this edit and to even tweak it a bit to try to make it better. And this book was just a really let down, and I was really disappointed. While it has like this is the same issue I had with Professional Love, where you had a really good like two good villains in that book with Grant Red and the Russian the KGB Russian woman. Um, he had good character. He had like really good characters in that book, but he doesn't have like these like big finales where the main character faces off against them, which this one also did not have at all. And I really found the plot really kind of weak and just dull for the most part. Like the character idea of Saramanga, the man with the golden gun, is a really interesting character idea and stuff, and his backstory. I like that. Like the first half of the book is actually good. It's the second and final act where it loses momentum very fast, and I can tell Ian is really struggling with ideas now. Like he is just really kind of like burned out with ideas, and this is a thing with writers. If you're struggling to come up with ideas, you need to take a break and let your creative mind relax for a while before you go back at it again. Because even myself as a writer, I even need to take breaks from writing just to let my mind relax and recharge before I get back at writing again or drawing or whatever. But Ian should have really just held off for a little bit, and then just that way he can allow his creative process to come up with some new ideas and stuff. And I even felt he should have even collaborated with some other writers to kind of like help flesh out the ideas and plots to make them better. As I read that apparently he collaborated with another author for Thunderball, and that was a really good improvement in that book. Um, yeah, this sadly this one was a huge letdown. However, the movie of the same was a lot better, and I'll explain more later on after my review. All right, onto the review. Plot. Nearly a year has gone by since the disappearance of MI6 agent James Bond. Then he appears in Scotland Yard wanting to report back to his boss M. At first the people are skeptical it's James Bond, but after taking his fingerprints, a photo of his face, recording his voice, and asking him a series of questions to ensure that this is the real James Bond, when M examines the findings, he confirms it is in fact James Bond and allows him to enter in his office, but is warned by security that James Bond might be carrying a hidden pistol, has Bill Tanner and Chief of Staff to act quickly should James suddenly become hostile. Moneypenny is happy to see James is alive, but notices something is off with him and warns Bill to keep a close eye on him. As the three men enter inside M's office, James sits down and explains what happened after the events in Japan after killing Blofeld, destroying his castle, and then being knocked out by explosion, which caused him to suffer from amnesia. He spent most of his life as a fisherman till he found a clue in his old suit with a torn-up newspaper of Vladivostok and believes he'll find the answers of who he really is. M is shocked to hear James talking highly about the KGB and the USSR, stating they want to bring the world together with peace. When M rejects his views, James becomes hostile and states that he's been using him as a tool. Without warning, James pulls out a small pistol and attempts to assassinate M by poisoning him with a toxic wiglet, but James is tackled down by Bill and Chief of Staff, then knocked out. Believing James is too dangerous and should be terminated at once, but M is against this, believing they can save James and get him back to normal. He orders James to be taken to a hospital and have him cured from the Soviet brainwashing. While waiting for Agent 007 to fully recover, M is given a file on a highly skilled and deadly hitman, Franziska Scaramanga, or known better as the Man of the Golden Gun, a tall man with reddish hair, long sideburns, dark eyes, and has a furred nipple under his left breast. From Spain, he was part of a circus act and became a very skilled shot along with riding elephants and befriended one of them named Max. While at an event at Trieste, Italy, Max goes berserk, charging at the crowd of people. Scaramanga tries to calm Max down, but it's no use as the police officers open fire on Max with the chief of police delivering the fatal shot. Enraged, Scaramanga draws his Golden Colt single-action army revolver and shoots the chief of police in the heart. He is able to avoid capture by running into the fleeing crowd as police aren't able to shoot him. Scaramanga travels the world till he reaches America and begins working for the mob in Las Vegas, but is forced to flee after killing a powerful mob boss for $100,000. And goes to Cuba, which he becomes the enforcer for Fidel Castro, along with taking contracts from the KGB. Believing he's a threat to both the CIA and MI6, M plans to send James Bond to hunt down Scaramanga, allowing him to earn back his 00 status again. After making a full recovery, James is sent to Jamaica, where Scaramanga is building a hotel on an island of both the KGB and other criminals. While in Jamaica, James begins to gain back more of his memories. James goes to a brothel owned by Tiffany and her 7 sisters, as they also offer sex to customers looking for a good time. While drinking, James begins asking for a Scaramanga, when he suddenly appears and shoots 2 birds in their cages with his Colt 45 revolver, forcing those to take cover. When Scaramanga approaches James, he demands to know who he is and why he's looking for him. James states his name is Mark Hazard and works for insurance for businesses and is looking for work. Despite being hard to please at first, James is able to convince Scaramanga to hire him as his personal assistant and will pay him a lot of money. As they leave, James thinks of killing him now, but there's too many witnesses and doesn't want to miss his target. He decides to investigate further what Scaramanga is really up to, then kill him. When James reaches the hotel, he is given a room key by Scaramanga, who's a few rooms next to him. James unpacks his luggage and begins searching for any hidden bugs or cameras, but doesn't find any. The following morning, James meets several criminals from America and the Soviet Union. Scaramanga plans to cause the market crash by increasing the value in Cuban sugar crops, along with smuggling drugs and prostitutes from Mexico into America, along with running a bunch of casinos to draw more tourists into Jamaica. In return, Scaramanga wants all members to split profits with him. However, one criminal from Las Vegas refuses to share a profit with Scaramanga and goes to leave when Scaramanga draws his Colt single army action and shoots him in the heart. He orders his men to take Ruby's corpse and feed his gators outside. James happens to find another undercover agent here, Felix Leiter, who's been trying to bring down Scaramanga along with collecting evidence on the other criminals here. But when James Bond's cover is blown, Scaramanga decides to have a gun match on his private train and will reward anyone who can kill James Bond. And to make things more interesting, Scaramanga is holding an old friend of his, Mary Goodnight, hostage. James knows the stakes are high as he can easily take on the other mobsters aboard the train, but Scaramanga is highly dangerous and knows if he misses his chance of killing the Man of the Golden Gun, he'll be his next victim. The Man of the Golden Gun wasn't a good thriller. While the beginning gets off to an interesting start, and I like the idea of James Bond being brainwashed by the Soviets and attempting to assassinate M, but towards the middle and last act is when it all goes downhill. I felt Ian really had an interesting idea with Franziska Scaramanga, but doesn't really give him much to do or really display his shooting skills that well. The rest of the plot I felt was very dull, not well executed. Even Ian himself felt his first draft of his novel wasn't that good and submitted a second draft to his publisher before his death, but they didn't bother using it. What could have made The Man with the Golden Gun better if the publisher hired a writer to use the basis of both drafts, then rewrite the whole novel to create something better. Even though this is before publishers would hire other authors to continue a book series, but felt this could have worked rather than using a unpolished manuscript by Ian Fleming's last novel he would write. As for the 1974 film of the same name with Roger Moore, I liked a lot better. Much better plot with Scaramanga played by Christopher Lee as he is the perfect choice to play a villain. He fleshes out the character and gives more layers to him, along with changing the setting to a tropical island that has its own funhouse maze of death. However, I wish Scaramanga had his iconic Colt single army action revolver than the small single-shot pistol he uses instead. Other than that, I like the film a lot more. Overall, I don't recommend The Man with the Golden Gun, not one of Ian's best James Bond novels. Just watch the film instead, it's better. And that's a review today. Hope you enjoy it. Yeah, I was really let down with this novel. I was really hoping this was going to be like a really good James Bond book, as I really liked the movie The Man with the Golden Gun with Roger Moore and Christopher Lee. Like, he plays an excellent villain in that movie. I like his performance as Scaramanga, and his little assistant Knick Knack was an amusing character too. And I liked his funhouse maze of death, which was really interesting. And he likes to challenge himself constantly to prove that he is the most deadliest man alive and stuff. And then I even like that one line where Roger Moore disguises himself as Scaramanga at one point, and he even puts on like this fake third nipple on him, and then after he's done, he leaves and he removes it, and he looks at it and goes, "How titillating!" and then he throws it away. That scene was funny, but I just was really let down with the book. The beginning part I thought was interesting. Like, James Bond comes back after like a year, and he's been brainwashed by the Soviets, and he nearly assassinates his boss. That was a really interesting scene. I thought, okay, is he gonna like try to actually shoot him? No, he's got this like gun that shoots like a toxic liquid. I thought, okay, and I was actually when I was reading, I was having trouble trying to figure out, okay, how does this gun work? Is it like a spray, or like does it shoot like a toxic liquid? Because, as I said, this book is not well polished, as the publisher didn't bother to. Well, there's no like typo errors. Well, probably some. There's probably like grammar errors and stuff, but as for like like spelling errors and stuff, not there's none of that. But it feels unpolished. Like, it just I like the other books. Like, you can tell when something is like it's been proofread and it moves smoothly. This does not. So I understand why the publisher rushed with this book when they should have just taken their time. Like, there is no need to rush it with this one. They could have looked it over and like, okay, we can make this better, and look at the second draft and see if it offers anything more than what the first one has. Then even I suggested this is a suggestion I thought, have another offer, essentially rewrite it. I even said it myself. I even felt that if the publisher, Jonathan Cape, hired another writer to basically to use both drafts of The Man with the Golden Gun and to improve the story to make it better, but how would you publish it then? Would you ghostwrite it, or would you come out and say, we used the basis of Ian Fleming's drafts for this novel and got another writer to write it? I don't know how if that would have worked out well, but to me, I feel that would have been a better idea to take Ian Fleming's idea and to perfect it to make something better out of it, because like this book has potential. Like, you got, okay, the beginning part, it gets out to a new start. You got a interesting villain that is a sharpshooter, and I felt which could have played out in a much better role, to see like his shooting skills, and this leading to like a more into the plot, but he doesn't go there. And I thought what was my part a big mistake was I thought James Bond should have had this. I thought Ian Fleming should have had this book set in Cuba. That's where the book should have taken place in, where James Bond is going up against Fidel Castro and his like enforcer and like this gun for hire, and he goes against like the secret like Cuban police and stuff. That would have been interesting to see something different for a change, because I felt Ian just kind of like just has his characters going to like locations they've been to, and then the plot's kind of, they're not similar, but they feel like, okay, I've been here before, and now he adds this in to kind of to try to change up, but it doesn't really work. And as I said, I felt towards the end of Ian's life, he was really starting to struggle with ideas, and to me, it feels like he's burned out. Like he needs time to like think over his ideas, and I felt he should have like read over what he's written, and then he could make changes to it because Ian's writing process was he spends like the first 3 hours writing, then he takes a break, then he spends the rest of the day just writing, and he doesn't read anything. He doesn't read over what he's written. He just goes with it and then submits it. To me, as a writer, you should when you write your story, you read over what you've written and see if there's scenes you like or you don't like, and you can go back and change it. To me, you should not just write it and then write it how it goes and then publish it because you may go if like like after it's published stuff you might like, oh, I could have done that scene better, or I could have added this in instead. Like that's what Ian should have done. As I said, the first act of the book gets off to a good start, but the rest of it falls flat as basically it's like Scaramanga is trying to like start like a chain of like hotels and casinos for the like the like the to make like money so to help with Fidel Castro, and like really like this is the best you could come up with, Ian. And then when Scaramanga finds out that James Bond is a secret agent, he decides rather than kill him right there now, he decides, I got a great idea. I'm gonna put you on my private train, and you gotta fight your way through all these mobsters, and anyone that can kill James Bond, I'll reward them with a lot of money. And they're on this. I thought this was just a really weak way to end the story. So James Bond and Felix Leiter, spoiler alert, have to shoot their way through these like mobsters on a train, and I'm like, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna hit Scaramanga, and the train's gonna like go too fast or something. It's gonna crash, and the scene, I guess it happens, and and Scar and I thought, really, I could see this ending coming a mile away, and it happened exactly. And I won't give away any more what happens after that, but I was just really let down with this book, and I thought this could have been so much better. As I said, I felt the plot was very weak and dull, and like I said, even my idea, I felt would have been way better if Ian Fleming set the book in Cuba instead of Jamaica. Like, I don't know what it is with Ian, but he seems to have this thing where he just keeps setting his stories in like similar locations, and it's like, come on, Ian, we've already seen this place. Pick something different already, and like it could have been a lot better if he had taken some time off, relax, then when he was ready, come back with some new ideas to write into his novel. That would have made it better. It is unfortunate what happened to Ian Fleming, as that's what years of like heavy drinking and smoking will do to you. It will basically cut your life short, and that's what happened to him, unfortunately. As if he wasn't such a heavy drinker smoker, he could probably would went on to done other things. It would have been interesting what other novels he could have wrote and stuff. Um, yeah, this was just not a good book. I would not recommend this book at all. The movie is a lot better. It's I enjoyed it a lot more than the novel. All right. All right, that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it. And for the next book, which I've already finished reading because it's the second collection that Ian Fleming wrote, Octopussy. This just has 3 short stories, and I finished reading this last night. It's only 125 pages, so I'm going to get onto this review next, as I'm officially done the James Bond series, finally. All right, on to this next book. So after you're done watching this video, go to the next one, and you can hear a review about this one. All right, that's the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and please don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel, and Facebook group with the same name. Please post your review of fiction. Until then, I'll catch you later.